Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on coping with the coronavirus holiday season. I know how busy each of you is, so we went ahead and created a training packed with information and coping strategies that we know will be helpful to you and your clients. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm Rita Wolfson. I'm guessing many of you know that. So, some of our most commonly asked questions. There are some things. Leah is with us handling technology today. Thank you, Leah. Vonda, who many of you know, is usually with me. She couldn't be here today. So, there are messages in the chat box. I'll tell you up front that the slides are proprietary, they aren't shared, but the recording will be on our website and Facebook and YouTube channel either later today or in the next day or two. You may type your questions into the question box as we go along, and we'll answer as many as time permits. There are no CEs or certificates of attendance for this webinar, just what I think is some great content. These are difficult times. Everyone here knows that. And I thought of starting with some of the challenges that we and our clients are facing. But I think up close and personal, we're also familiar with them. So instead, I thought to share with you this note to self to help everyone remember the importance of asking for help when we need it. I usually use this slide in my presentations and our online trainings to give us a minute to kind of center ourselves, take a deep breath, inhale and exhale. I do that obviously because we're going to be talking about money, which is what I talk about all the time. And we'll also be talking about some other very serious and challenging issues going on right now. So take one more deep breath. And I will start with our financial social work affirmation because for me, it captures just about everything that is about financial social work. So just for today, I will love myself enough to face my fears, practice self-acceptance, and embrace hope. I will silence my inner critic, speak my truth, and make peace with my past. Just for today, I will give myself permission to eliminate toxic people, beliefs, and behaviors from my life. And I will prepare for a better tomorrow by making friends with my money and with myself today. So, let's get you involved. Why did you choose to join us today? Leah, this on this platform, I'm asking it. Okay, let me pull up the first poll, everybody, and see what your answers are. I'm launching that poll. And you can pick as many of them as you find appropriate. And if you have any others, go ahead and put them in the question box. And Leah can share a few of them. About 50% of you have voted. I'll go ahead and give you another few seconds. You had some real specific reasons according to the poll. And I am going to close the poll. At 70% of you voting, I'm going to close it and I'm going to share it. Well, you're about to find out everything I learned about how this holiday will be different, about some of the obstacles we'll all be facing. And we do have some wonderful materials and a handout for you today. And all these things that you're looking to accomplish, I think we can help. Leah, did anyone put anything else in the question box?
Yes, actually we have, it's in a question, not in a chat, but we still have a few answers. One answer is, I want to select all of them. And another is, starting a new job with children, maybe to learn how this will affect children. Another one, help my clients and myself get through these troubling times. Another one, to learn new ways to help my coworkers as co-helping others. And the last one, I'm working with people who have lost income and have large families and want to find ways to help them as much as possible so they may still be able to enjoy holidays, and reiterate, it's not all about material things. That's all.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks, everybody. I love our trainings and webinars because we have such a high participation from all of you. It makes it so much better. So where are we today? Well, a lot of stress going around. Election stress, reluctance to ask for help, missing our previous routines. I don't have to go through all of them because we're all living them. But I thought that to start out, we would just take this moment and think about how we got here and why we are here as we look for better ways to address this holiday season. So many of you have probably noticed that Christmas decorations start going up in July and August. Of course, I don't know about you, but I haven't been in any stores. But the holiday starts earlier and earlier, and I've been doing an October holiday webinar for quite a few years. I usually focus on stressing less and spending less. However, we as a community, as a country, we idealize the holidays. It's the happiest time, most wonderful time of the year. If I could sing, I would sing it for you. However, for me, the question is this really the most wonderful time of the year? As I said, I've been doing this for so many years, and I have recognized that it's very, very stressful for lots and lots of people. And for our clients and for us, the reasons may be different, but it's important to know. And those of you who are part of our regular community and join our monthly webinars and our students and graduates of financial social work, you know that I talk a lot about stress, financial stress. And this graphic is just to point out again how it affects us physically without even really getting into the details of emotionally, mentally, socially, which we will be talking about. So, the role of financial social work in financial and holiday health. Let's talk about financial health, which is one of my favorite subjects. Money is one of the most frequently reported causes of stress. And stress is one of the most influential determinants of health. And poor health is one of the largest burdens on personal finances. So, what is financial health? It is the dynamic relationship of financial and economic resources in how they impact us physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. We do need to understand that it is about so much more than the dollars and cents. And here we have it. So financial social work goes beyond dollars, cents, debt, and budgets. It is a psychosocial behavioral model. And we focus heavily on the relationship each of us has with our money and with ourselves. Those two are so intertwined, and they are the essence of my work and the way to help clients create greater financial health. So, what does it look like? Our model and our process. It is interactive, reflective, and strengths based, educational, motivational, and supportive. It's a holistic, multidisciplinary healing process that brings hope and help and works beautifully with individuals and with group. It is about changing the relationship we have with our money. Money is not the problem. We have to stop blaming money for everything that's wrong in our lives. We want to recognize, embrace, and take ownership of personal financial health. We want to change our relationship, improve our relationship with ourselves through self-discovery, self-care, and self-healing. And it all begins with that psychosocial piece, those thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, our values, and our experiences with money. And ultimately, all of that leads to what has to happen is changing behavior. That's what makes it a behavioral model. And that's for us about how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And it looks something like this. And it is our financial wellness model. And my little dancing arrow shows you where financial behavioral change happens. And it is about behavior because that's what drives and determines our financial circumstances. So, one last quick look at something I call chronic financial stress syndrome. We did a webinar on this, a free webinar a few months ago. It's on our website because it reveals how much more prone to emotional problems clients are with all this financial stress, how much more susceptible to physical problems, and they are at greater risk of mental health problems also. So, why do we need financial social work? Because although no one chooses to have money problems, most people do. And that's why we're here, to try to change that. And the goal of financial social work is to help people make peace with their money. So, if we want to look at what's ahead in 2020, we need to take a quick look at what happened in 2019. So, things have changed, as we all know, a great deal since 2019. When I decided the theme for this webinar, and I do that a couple months ahead of time, it was hard to find any information on 2020 holiday season. But even as late as today, I was adding more things because the information is coming in now on 2020. But let's take a look and get a sense of what happened last year. So over 93% of Americans went ahead and bought Christmas gifts last year. They spent over $900. And while over 50% of Americans set a budget for holiday spending, only 64% stuck to it. 21+% went into debt over Christmas. So, how do you think most people who went into debt in 2019 planned to pay it off? Let's do our next poll. Oh, we have some people that know the answer. Okay. I'll give you a few more seconds and I'll show you your responses, and then I'll show you a graph with the answers. Okay, so we're nicely over 70%, and I'm going to close it and share it. And some of you must work with these clients. Not surprisingly, let me hide that and continue. Okay, here we have it. Almost 30% plan to pay it off with their tax return, but over a quarter didn't know. I honestly, and so you all knew, or a lot of you knew the answer. I would have thought it was a higher percentage of those who didn't plan or know. And that's the purpose here, is to try to help clients avoid getting into those kinds of problems. So when and why is that a problem? It is a problem when it leads to the emotional and mental health breakdown. 16% of suicides in the US occur in response to a financial problem. This was pre-COVID. So new research shows people who died by suicide were 8 times more likely to have debt, and that the COVID pandemic could lead to 75,000 additional deaths separate from the pandemic from alcohol and drug misuse and suicide. And the suicides are projected and called deaths of despair. So I wanted to share the suicide prevention hotline number and website with you. So let's take a look at the forecast and trends for 2020. Obviously, high unemployment and economic anxiety will affect everything that we do in the coming months. And the reduced spending on pandemic-sensitive services could be helpful to retailers. Not that our concern is how well retailers do. But the success depends on how much splurging high wealth consumers do and how much belt tightening lower income households do. And we know how many people just won't have money for gifts. But this forecast, reading a lot of different information to pull this together, consumers absolutely want discounts, and we'll see how that's coming into play already. And they want product information, reviews, and answers. And that's what they're looking for already in October. So I'm wondering how many of you know what Black Friday is, why it was called, it still is called Black Friday, but it no longer has the significance. Oh, Black Friday was the day each year when retailers went from red ink showing losses to black ink because of the crowds that you see there. But Black Friday is no longer as important as it used to be. It's lost popularity because of how sales have moved online, and who wants to be in crowded parking lots and stores. And retailers really want consumers shopping earlier and earlier, because that's the only way to increase revenue. You can only go until the 25th as far as sales. So what do we want? We want brick and mortar stores that are going to be healthy and safe to come into, and we need to be convinced before we do that. Stores need to have shopping assistants, salespeople available to get us the items we want for curbside pickup or delivery. People will be looking for more products that align with social distancing lifestyles. We won't be eating out as much, and retailers are hoping that that means more money for gift buying. And there will be more returns because we can't see the products and we can't try them on. So people tend to buy more and eventually return them. So I should have done a little poll on this to see how many of you have heard about 10/10. 10/10 is a new shopping holiday. So I was happy I could bring this information to you. However, I don't think this is really, considering it's 2 days away, I really haven't seen myself, but I'm not looking at a lot of promotions actually. But I don't think this is a well-known or recognized holiday. But the purpose, very clearly, is to get people shopping earlier. And the reason, and something we should be aware of, is that there are going to be problems with shipping and delivery, and the product selection is going to be lower because in the spring, when stores traditionally plan their holiday merchandising and promotions, everything was locked down. And so availability will be very different this year. So here we can see that most people plan to celebrate Christmas and then Thanksgiving, with the rest of the holidays declining across the board. I thought I should put in something on hiring. A lot of people do count on holiday jobs, which look to be very different, with a lot of it focusing on distribution centers. Although stores like Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works seem to be hiring for in the stores, and I think Michael's also in stores and distribution centers. And I was very pleased to find out what BOPIS means, because I'd seen it and didn't know what it meant. So buy online, pick up in store. Thanksgiving. Many, if not most, major stores will be closed on Thanksgiving. Probably not so much out of compassion for their workers, but because most people aren't going to want to be in the types of crowds and shopping madness that traditionally occurs on Thanksgiving Day. So what percentage of Americans plan to spend less money this holiday season? Let's see what you think about that one. Okay. Give you another few seconds. And I'll go ahead and close that poll and share it with you. So most of you thought that we were in that 20 to 30, 20 to 50 range. Let's take a look at that one. And 39% of holiday shoppers plan to spend less on gifts this year. I would have thought it was more, quite frankly. So people who said they would be doing the following: shopping earlier, locally. Oops, come on. The one that kind of surprised me the most is that we actually have 5% of people say they would not shop in a store that required a mask. Okay. So here's a trend is with Walmart and other retailers, they are encouraging consumers to pay with credit and debit cards instead of cash, which you probably all know is because of the pandemic and the shortage of cash coins. So the United States and other countries have been moving towards a cashless society, some more rapidly than others, and there's very mixed feelings on how good or bad that is. About 26% of transactions, so a quarter of transactions were made with cash prior to the pandemic. But there is a backlash against card-only stores because poorer people or those without good credit are at a disadvantage because they will not have a credit card to use. So we'll see how that all plays out. So people are planning to downsize their holiday get-togethers, as you can see here. And we see that people are trying to spend less and save more. Others are trying to pay down debt. A lot of concerns around money, which will hopefully result in not building the kind of debt that happened last year and in many years before. So I think this is our final poll, and I will launch it. And give you a few more seconds. And take a look at what you thought. Okay. Share that. So you're figuring pretty much most people shopping online, which is probably a pretty safe bet. Let's see. Nearly half of Americans plan to shop online this holiday season. Hey, it's what we do. We are accustomed to it and still not ready to go out into the crowds. So retailers are counting on online sales to increase and expecting higher engagement through social media channels. Whoa, my computer's running away from me. So Prime Day is next week, and it traditionally is earlier, from my understanding, but was postponed. And because of this movement to get people doing their shopping earlier, the consensus seems to be that it will be a really revenue generating occasion for Amazon and for Mr. Jeff Bezos. So Santa isn't coming to town. Makes sense. There are some stores or some malls, it looks like, that will consider doing Santa differently, but it looks like there will be a lot of online Santa participation and interaction this year. So those are the trends, those are the projections. But what I imagine you're here for mostly is, how do we cope with this? How do we help clients practice healthier self-care? So in the abstract, we talked about holiday boundaries. We should be talking about self-care and personal and financial boundaries every day for creating more rewarding lives. But for this occasion, let's talk about some personal and financial boundaries. They begin with the words, I have the right to. And we want to encourage clients to recognize the rights that they do have. I have the right to not build debt, the right to put myself first, to make mistakes, to get enough rest, to change my mind, and some other ones. Not to take on more than I can handle. These are very specifically tied to the holidays. Choose to spend time with only positive, supportive people. A healthier, happier holiday is based on personal and financial boundaries. Allow yourself to grieve. There is so much loss happening for all of us, not just losing loved ones to the pandemic, but the isolation, the inability to be with people we know and love, job losses. It's important to help our clients give themselves permission, help them to grieve the losses rather than just ignore them. That's an important one. Help them accept that the financial and physical ramifications of this pandemic, they're going to be with us forever in our psyche, in our lives. I have twin grandchildren. They're, like most children, doing online learning. They aren't with friends. It's a generation that will grow up very differently than most of us in the helping professions and doing this work and on this webinar have experienced. But it's very real and it's not going away. So more self-care strategies. We need to stay present, not to be thinking about next week, next month, January, if there will be shots available for us. When can we get out? Staying present. And we have to be aware of how we romanticize the holidays. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It isn't the most wonderful time of the year for lots and lots of people. So being realistic and always with a financial with the foundation of hope. Hope opens the door to change, and certainly financial social work is a hope-filled approach, because hopelessness closes the door to change, and it is a behavioral change model. Help clients start a stress journal and schedule stress time, not allowing it, trying to prevent it from spilling into every minute and every hour of their days and lives. Help them find new ways to enjoy spending time alone. Work with them to create a list of low-cost, no-cost activities, and then to do them, not just to keep the list. Teach clients relaxation techniques. It's not a cure, but it is a way to practice greater self-care. Plan something for the future to look forward to. This pandemic will, at some point, end, and it's important to believe that. Most important, if someone needs help, let's help them get that help. Let's help them ask for the help they need. We have stay present. Have a worry jar and a worry time. Write your worries on a piece of paper, put them in the jar, open it at a certain time, spend a certain amount of time, 10, 15 minutes with the jar, close it, and move on to something else. Volunteer to help others who are less fortunate by preparing a meal, delivering a holiday plant, or sending a card. Look for occasions to laugh. Tell jokes. Have clients tell you jokes. Honor a loved one's memory. Make your own holiday playlist. Simple but helpful. Create new ways to celebrate the holidays. Focus on what has and is going right in your life, not on what's gone wrong and isn't the way you want it to be. Think beyond COVID. If you set your mind to it, you can do it. Let go of what is no more. Plan a Google or Zoom gathering. Limit shopping time online or in stores. Be proactive. All of these suggestions and strategies are proactive instead of reactive. Reach out to those who lost loved ones. There's so many ways and methods that we in the helping professions have available to offer to clients. Connect personally with those who matter most. Practice pandemic safety to protect loved ones and yourself. Don't allow others to intimidate or question your health choices. I have seen so much of that recently, that people are ridiculed because they don't want to go to parties or events where a lot of people will be. And don't let others intimidate or question your spending choices and your gift choices. That's certainly a piece of setting boundaries. Rethink your spending priorities. Help clients think about that. If they've traditionally gone into debt with their spending for their children, which we know represents something very important to them, let's look at other ways of celebrating the holidays. Review how your spending has changed due to the pandemic. It has changed, and the more aware you are of the changes, the more you can intertwine that into your holiday preparations. Prepare for difficult money talks with partners, spouses, and children. This will be a holiday unlike most others we've ever had. And to be proactive and not reactive, we want to make sure that clients think about how they're going to discuss the differences with adults and with children, not to just jump right in without forethought and planning. Plan holiday spending ahead of time, track holiday spending, and avoid sales and auctions that will only lead to more spending. Spend your money, for sure, encourage clients on needs, not wants. So the good news, the holiday season will eventually end. If we do a good job, we can help clients avoid spending the rest of 2021 trying to get out of debt. So before we do Q&A, I wanted to remind all of you that we have a November webinar. Disabled doesn't have to mean financially disenfranchised. And our December webinar is the financial costs of COVID, sickness, and death. Both are important topics, and we hope you'll join us for them. Financial social work has a certification, which is self-study and self-paced. Our students have 6 months to complete it, and there's an online final exam, and our students have 2 weeks to complete that. Our graduates are across the country and around the world: Hong Kong, Iceland, Canada, Australia. It works because it's a behavioral model, and it doesn't matter whether it's dollars and cents or any other kind of money. So we do have a handout for you. You should see it in the handout section. And now I will ask Leah if she has any questions for us or for me to answer.
Yes, we definitely have questions, and it's a lot of questions, so I try to organize it, and I will start with the first one. It's your quote, prepare for difficult money talks with family, kids. Can you give an example of how to talk about this?
One of the things I see so often, and no one on this webinar will be surprised, I'm sure, is how differently partners, spouses deal with the money, look at the money. So the purpose there is to try to negotiate a place where you both can agree on what this holiday will look like, particularly when there are children involved. This could mean, for those who are out of work and struggling, and we know food insecure and possibly moving towards homelessness, these conversations need to happen, but they need to be thought through. They need to be sensitive. They have to be framed honestly. Honesty is very important here. but age appropriately. When you're talking with children, please make sure it's age appropriate. And when you're talking with a partner or a spouse or whomever you're doing this with, um, work for a mutual outcome. Make the negotiation as positive as possible rather than adversarial. There are, the certification has a lot of materials for couples to talk about money. It's not an easy subject. It's a very difficult subject under the best of circumstances. I'm encouraging everyone to be thoughtful about it, to be prepared about it, and to do it ahead of time before, certainly with children, um, having those conversations. Next, Leah.
Okay, thank you. The next one, do we know or have an idea on the numbers of rates of COVID during the holiday season? How many holiday gatherings will contribute to COVID rates?
I'm not clear on the question, Leah.
I think the last part of the question is how many holiday gathering will contribute to COVID rates, and do we have any idea of numbers of rates of COVID during the holiday season? I'm not sure. Maybe.
Well, we saw from that one, we had one slide where people were definitely planning on downsizing and downsizing the number of people and reducing the number of events. But I think you're also pointing out the potential for people to have what they call, I think, super spreader events. I think that's where boundaries come in, where we want to consider how important is this. And one of the self-care strategies was to, do online events rather than in person. It just seems like this virus can go anywhere and do anything that it wants. And I think it's our responsibility in our own lives and in helping clients prepare for the holidays to discuss with them their health and the health of their family if they're going to subject themselves to being around a lot of people.
Okay.
I hope that's the answer because I'm not positive of the question.
Mm-hmm. The next one, during this time, usually a difficult time for people struggling with anxiety and depression, how do you correlate already mental health issues enhanced with COVID and making healthy money decision around the holiday?
If I had the answer to that question, I would be really, really successful. This is very complicated. There is no one answer, no one way. This is where we get into the issue of it's the most wonderful time of the year. We know it's not the most wonderful time of the year under the best of circumstances. These are not the best of circumstances. I think we allow clients to talk about what the holiday means to them and encourage them to discuss their plans and their thoughts, help them prepare to have difficult conversations. People that don't have money, I've certainly seen that people borrow, discourage everyone from taking payday loans. No payday loans. We should make this a payday loan free occasion. Let's be more proactive. I've been doing this for over 24 years. I learned early on how difficult it is for people to talk about this and how important it is to make a space for it. It's something we should be doing more of regularly. 78% of Americans before COVID were living payday to payday. And then suddenly there was no more payday. And no one knew what to do. Yes, there was the money from the government, and there was increased unemployment, and then that went away. So we need to be more proactive in helping clients build emergency funds, understand why they do the things they do with money. So this isn't just something that we can fix in one or two sessions. But I think we need to listen. We need to help clients plan. We need to talk about it with clients. We need to hear their sadness, their concerns, their disappointment for their children. And we can make it a more creative holiday, giving homemade gift certificates for babysitting for someone's child, baking cookies if there's money for that. We This will be a holiday that we need to be creative in every sense of the word. I hope that's helpful.
Mhm.
And the handout, be sure to take the handout because I made that so that you can share it with your clients. You can make copies and talk about those are good talking points for you to get started with your clients. Okay, Leah, what's next?
Okay, the two next questions are very often I see. So, do you need a background in social work to get started, to get certified?
No, do not. We have probably, we don't keep our records this way, but we probably have as many social workers as non social workers. And because it is a behavioral model that's heavily psychosocial, we provide the direction for all of our students and graduates in working with clients around these issues. We also have a monthly meeting for our students and graduates where we hear what other graduates are doing, what populations they're working with, and how they're using the materials. So we welcome everybody.
Okay, and another question, can you explain how financial social work helps a person get better with their money?
Yes, because we address the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, values, and experiences. We Sadly, nobody likes the B word for budgets. It's seen as punitive in this culture, and we don't understand how helpful it is, how important it is. So we don't start with the budget, which we call a personal spending and savings plan, but we start with that psychosocial piece to help clients understand why they do what they do, what's helpful, what's not, what to keep, and what to change. And that process, through that process, they learn how important it is, why they are where they want to be in the future. And then we can work with clients to develop a success plan, to set the goals that will get them there. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen over time. People don't get into debt overnight either. So that's kind of the long range approach.
Mhm. Another question is, typically substance use spikes during the holiday season. Do you have suggestions on how to provide support to those facing the additional challenge on substance use disorder during this especially challenging holiday season?
Again, you know, a very difficult issue in everyday life. I believe that we have to address it. We have to talk about it. We have to, what we do, what our training is to meet the client where the client is and to proceed from there. We're not going to be able to stop someone's self-medication, someone's addiction, but we can discourage deepening of the problem. And the only way to do that is in a safe, non-judgmental setting, because even as we go towards the end of 2020, we still don't talk about money in this society, in this country. And the result is there is nowhere that people feel safe. There's so much shame involved in it. And look, it causes as much stress and anxiety and worry, money itself. So it's there's a cycle where the money causes the stress and the stress causes the money. And I started by talking about the role that it plays in mental, physical, and emotional health, as well as social health. And all those issues are so much more complicated now because of the virus and the isolation. So in some ways, it's not that much different from how you would work with clients on a traditional holiday. It's about listening, responding, and being willing to talk about money. That's a big step. And most people really appreciate the opportunity. Most clients have presenting problems that have a financial component. However, they don't come in with that as the presenting problem. So we have to be willing to raise the issue. I hope that's helpful.
The next two is just a comment, not a question, but I would like to share. Dangerous part of credit only is that people are emotional shoppers and will overspend, facing consequences the following months.
Well, I'm sorry that I didn't put that in the strategies, because what's really important, help clients identify their spending triggers. We all have spending triggers, and certainly stress is one. It's very closely related to eating. Why do we eat? We think that, this is nurturing, it's calming. It isn't. So it's about providing other ways to cope. So identifying financial stressors is really important, and then developing alternatives. Same thing with emotional spending. What contributes to it? Great question. Thanks for asking it.
Yeah, and the last one, we already have 3 p.m., just noticing. We have a lot of comments like this. So not a question. I just wanted to state I really enjoyed the webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
You are welcome. The recording will be up on the website and our YouTube channel either tomorrow, later today, or the next day. Take the handout, use it with your clients. I hope we'll see you back here next month for our next webinar. And I hope that you and your clients find a way to have a beautiful and financially healthy holiday. Thanks for taking the time today. It's a privilege to have you with us. Bye now.
Thank you, Rita.